You've spent decades trying to get it right. You've served, you've prayed, you've shown up. You've raised children, worked jobs, kept promises, carried burdens that no one else saw. And somewhere along the way, you started to wonder if any of it truly mattered to God the way you hoped it would. You're not bitter, you're not angry, but you're tired. And if you're honest, there are moments when you feel like you've missed something. Like maybe you were running so hard that you ran past the very thing Jesus was trying to show you all along. Like there was a quieter path, a deeper way, and you were too busy to notice it until now. If that's you, I need you to stay with me for the next few minutes, because what I'm about to share could change everything about how you see your faith, your purpose, and the time you have left. This isn't about doing more. It's about seeing clearly. And it starts with understanding something most Christians get backwards their entire lives. Something that, if you can grasp it now, will transform this season from one of weariness into one of the deepest fulfillment you've ever known. There's a quiet ache that settles in as we get older. It's not always pain. Sometimes it's just awareness. You look back and you see all the years, all the effort, all the decisions. Some of them you're proud of. Some of them you wish you could redo. Some of them you don't even remember making, but you're living with the consequences anyway. But either way, you start asking questions you didn't ask when you were younger. Did I do enough? Did I love well? Did I honor God the way He deserved? Did I miss what really mattered while I was focused on what seemed urgent? And beneath all those questions is one that's harder to say out loud. Did He see me? Did any of it matter? Am I still valuable to Him now that I can't do what I used to do? These aren't the questions of doubt. They're the questions of someone who has walked with God long enough to know that something deeper is supposed to be happening. You've read the scriptures. You've heard the sermons. You've tried to live faithfully. You've done your best to follow the path that was laid out before you. But now, in this season, you're starting to sense that there's a difference between knowing about God and truly knowing Him, between serving Him and sitting with Him, between working for His kingdom and resting in His presence. And that difference, it changes everything. Because what God wants from you now isn't what you think. It's not what the church told you when you were younger. It's not what you've been striving for all these years. It's something quieter, something closer, something more intimate, something that, honestly, you might have been too busy to notice until now. But now that life has slowed down, now that you can't run at the same pace, now that you're forced to be still, God is inviting you to discover it. Let me ask you something. When you think about your relationship with God, what comes to mind first? Is it the things you've done for Him? The prayers you've prayed? The services you've attended? The sacrifices you've made? The Bible studies you've led? The people you've helped? The missions you've supported? Or is it Him? Just Him? His presence, His voice, His heart toward you, His delight in you, His pleasure in simply being with you. Because here's what happens to so many of us, and I've been guilty of this too. We spend the first half of our lives building families, building careers, building reputations, building legacies. And we bring that same energy, that same drive, that same mindset into our faith. We build our service, we build our knowledge, we build our resume before God. We build our image as a faithful believer. We accumulate Bible knowledge. We rack up hours of volunteering. We pride ourselves on never missing a Sunday. We measure our spiritual growth by how much we're doing, how busy we are for God, how indispensable we've become in our church community. And none of that is wrong. God calls us to be faithful, to serve, to love others, to steward what He's given us, to use our gifts, to invest our time and energy in His kingdom. But somewhere in all the building, we can lose sight of the builder. We can become so focused on the work that we forget the relationship. We can become so busy doing things for Jesus that we stop sitting with Jesus. We can become so obsessed with being useful that we forget how to simply be loved. And that's the shift. That's what God is inviting you into right now in this season of your life. He's not asking you to do more. He's asking you to come closer. He's not measuring your output. He's offering you his presence. He's not evaluating your productivity. He's extending his heart. And if you can receive that, if you can let that truth settle into your soul, everything about this season will feel different. What felt like loss will become gain. What felt like limitation will become liberation. If this is speaking to you, consider subscribing so we can continue walking this path together. There's a moment in the Gospel of Luke where Jesus visits the home of two sisters, Mary and Martha. You've probably heard this story 100 times. Maybe you've even taught it. Martha is bustling around, preparing the meal, making sure everything is perfect. She's serving, she's working, she's doing all the right things. She's being the perfect hostess. She's honoring Jesus with her effort, with her excellence, with her sacrifice. And Mary? Mary is sitting at the feet of Jesus, just listening, just being present, just soaking in his words, not contributing, not producing, not performing, just receiving. And to Martha, this looks like laziness. This looks like irresponsibility. This looks like Mary isn't pulling her weight, isn't doing her part, isn't being a good host. And when Martha gets frustrated and asks Jesus to tell Mary to help her, expecting him to validate her busyness and rebuke Mary's stillness, he says something that stops us in our tracks. He says, "Martha, Martha, you are worried and upset about many things, but few things are needed, or indeed only one. Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from her. Only one thing is needed, not 10 things, not a checklist, not a performance, not a perfectly prepared meal, not impressive service. One thing, sitting at the feet of Jesus, being with him, listening to him, receiving from him, letting his presence be enough, letting his words fill you, letting his love satisfy you." Now, I want you to hear this carefully, because this is important. Jesus wasn't condemning Martha. He wasn't saying service doesn't matter. He wasn't saying work is bad. He wasn't saying hospitality is worthless. He wasn't dismissing her efforts or her heart to honor him. He was saying that in all the doing, don't lose the being. In all the activity, don't miss the intimacy. In all the service, don't neglect the relationship. Because intimacy with him is the one thing that will sustain you, the one thing that will fill you, the one thing that will remain when everything else is stripped away, the one thing that will matter when everything else fades. And here's what's so powerful about this, especially for those of us who are older. The older you get, the more you realize that everything else does fade. The achievements fade, the applause fades, the recognition fades, the titles fade, the positions you held fade, the influence you had fades, the physical strength fades, the mental sharpness can fade. The things you thought defined you, they don't carry the weight they used to. They don't give you the identity they once did. They don't fill you the way they promised they would. And if your faith was built on those things, if your sense of worth before God was tied to your productivity, if your identity was wrapped up in being needed and useful and busy, you're going to feel lost. You're going to feel like you don't know who you are anymore. You're going to feel like maybe God doesn't need you anymore, doesn't value you anymore, doesn't have a purpose for you anymore. But if you've learned to sit at his feet, if you've learned to find your identity in his love rather than your labor, if you've learned that your value comes from being his child and not from your achievements, then this season becomes something beautiful. It becomes a season of depth, a season of rest, a season of intimacy, a season of knowing him in ways you couldn't when you were so busy proving yourself, when you were so consumed with doing, when you were so afraid to stop moving because you thought your worth depended on it. I think one of the hardest things about getting older as a believer is realizing how much time you spent trying to earn something that was already yours. You spent years striving for God's approval when he had already given it freely through Jesus. You spent years trying to be good enough when Jesus had already made you worthy through his sacrifice. You spent years trying to measure up when God was saying you were already accepted, already loved, already His. You spent years carrying guilt and shame when He had already carried it to the cross and buried it in the grave. And now, looking back, you can see it. You can see all the unnecessary weight you carried, all the fear that drove you forward, all the insecurity that pushed you to prove yourself, all the religious performance that exhausted you and left you empty, all the striving that never quite felt like enough, all the comparing that made you feel inadequate, all the guilt that haunted you even when you were doing everything right. And part of you grieves that. Part of you wishes you had known sooner, wishes you had rested sooner, wishes you had believed sooner that His love wasn't something you had to work for, that His acceptance wasn't something you had to earn, that His delight in you wasn't contingent on your performance. Part of you looks back and thinks about all the years you spent running when you could have been resting, all the energy you spent striving when you could have been receiving. But here's the grace in it. Here's the beauty that God wants you to see. You know now, and what you do with that knowledge, how you live in this season, how you respond to this invitation, that's what matters. God isn't looking at your past with disappointment. He's not shaking His head at all the years you got it wrong. He's not tallying up all the times you chose Martha's way instead of Mary's way. He's looking at your present with invitation. He's looking at your future with hope. He's saying, you don't have to keep running. You don't have to keep performing. You don't have to keep trying to earn what's already been given. You can stop now. You can breathe now. You can rest in me now. You can let me love you now without you doing anything to deserve it. There's a passage in the book of Psalms that says, "Be still and know that I am God." Be still, not be busy, not be productive, not be impressive, not be useful. Be still. Stop striving. Stop running. Stop performing. And in that stillness, know Him. Not know about Him. Not accumulate information about Him. Not study Him from a distance. Know Him. Experience Him. Encounter Him. Feel His presence. Hear His voice. Let Him love you without you doing anything to deserve it. Let Him speak to you without you having to speak first. Let Him fill you without you having to earn it. That's what He wants from you now. More than your service, more than your effort, more than your guilt-driven striving, more than your exhausted attempts to prove yourself. He wants your heart. He wants your attention. He wants your presence. He wants you to know, deep in your soul, that you are loved, not because of what you've done, but because of who He is. Not because you're worthy, but because He's gracious. Not because you're good enough, but because Jesus made you good enough. And I know some of you are thinking, but I can't just stop. I still have responsibilities. I still have people depending on me. I still have work to do. I still have grandchildren to love and a spouse to care for and bills to pay and commitments to keep. And you're right. God isn't calling you to abandon your responsibilities. He's not asking you to neglect your duties or walk away from your commitments. He's calling you to shift your foundation. He's calling you to change the source from which you live. When your identity is rooted in Christ, when your worth comes from His love, when your security is found in His unchanging character, then the work you do flows from rest, not from striving. You serve, not to prove yourself, but because you're already accepted. You love others, not to earn God's approval, but because you've already received it. You give, not out of obligation or guilt, but out of overflow. You help, not because you're afraid of what people will think if you don't, but because you're so filled with His love that it naturally spills out onto others. That's the difference. That's the freedom. That's the transformation. And that's what God is offering you right now, in this season of your life. A faith that's no longer about proving, but about abiding. A relationship that's no longer about performing, but about presence. A life that's no longer defined by what you do, but by who you belong to. A joy that doesn't depend on your productivity. A peace that doesn't require your perfection. A love that never wavers, based on your performance. Jesus said in the Gospel of John, I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. Remain in me, abide in me, stay connected to me, make your home in me. Let me be your source, your strength, your sustenance. Not through effort, but through relationship. Not through striving, but through surrender. Not through white-knuckling your way through spiritual disciplines, but through resting in the flow of his life through you. And when you do that, when you learn to abide, when you learn to draw from him instead of from your own depleted reserves, the fruit comes naturally. The love comes naturally. The peace comes naturally. The joy comes naturally. The purpose comes naturally. The wisdom comes naturally. Because it's not you forcing it. It's not you manufacturing it. It's not you trying to squeeze fruit out of your own dried up branches. It's him flowing through you. It's his life producing his fruit. And that kind of life, that kind of faith, it doesn't exhaust you. It sustains you. It renews you. It fills you, even as you pour out. So what does this actually look like in your daily life? How do you make this shift from doing to being? How do you move from performance to presence? How do you transition from striving to abiding? It starts with simple practices. Practices that might feel almost too simple. Practices that might not feel spiritual enough. Practices that won't impress anyone. But that's the point. This isn't about impressing. It's about connecting. It starts with silence, with sitting quietly before God, without an agenda, without a list of requests, without a need to say the right words or pray the right prayers. Just sitting, just being, just opening your heart, just letting him love you in the quiet, just experiencing his presence without needing anything from him except himself. It starts with reading scripture, not to check a box, but to hear his voice, not to gather information for your next Bible study or to feel accomplished, but to encounter his heart, slowly, reflectively, meditatively, letting the words sink in, letting them speak to you personally, asking him what he wants you to see, listening for his whisper beneath the words on the page. It starts with prayer that's less about asking and more about listening, less about presenting your needs, though that's still important, and more about opening your heart to hear his. Less about talking at God with a long list of requests, and more about communing with God, sharing your heart, and receiving his heart in return. It starts with gratitude, with noticing the small things, the ways he's been present today, the ways he's been faithful this week, the ways he's carried you through the years, the blessings you've overlooked, the provisions you've taken for granted, the mercies that are new every morning, even when you don't recognize them. And it starts with letting go of the need to impress him, letting go of the guilt from the past, letting go of the fear that you're not enough, letting go of the shame that you didn't do it right, letting go of the illusion that your worth is tied to your productivity, letting go of the lie that he loves you more when you do more, letting go of the burden of trying to earn what's already been freely given. These aren't complicated practices. They're not impressive. They won't make you look spiritual to anyone else. They won't earn you recognition in your church. They won't give you a platform or a title. But they will change you. They will draw you closer to him. They will fill you in ways that all the activity never could. They will give you a peace that all the achievement never delivered. They will satisfy you in ways that all the applause never satisfied. Here's what I want you to understand, and this is crucial. This isn't about you doing less because you're older and you can't keep up anymore. This isn't a consolation prize for not being as productive as you used to be. This isn't God lowering his expectations because you're slowing down. This is about you finally understanding what God has always wanted from the very beginning, from the moment he created you, from the moment he called you, from the moment he saved you. He's always wanted your heart more than your hands. He's always wanted intimacy more than industry. He's always wanted relationship more than results. He's always wanted you to know him, not just serve him. He's always wanted communion, not just compliance. He's always wanted your love, not just your labor. But when you're young, when you're full of energy and ambition and drive, it's easy to miss that. It's easy to think that faith is about what you can build, what you can accomplish, what you can offer, what you can achieve for the kingdom. And God lets you go through that season because there's value in it, there's growth in it, there's purpose in it, there's development in it. He uses your service. He honors your effort. He works through your activity. But now, in this season, He's inviting you into something deeper, something that doesn't depend on your strength, something that doesn't require your performance, something that doesn't fade when your abilities fade, something that's pure relationship, pure love, pure grace, pure intimacy, something that will only deepen as you age, something that will only become richer as you grow older, something that death itself cannot take from you. And the beauty of it is this: the closer you get to Him, the more everything else falls into place. The more you abide in Him, the more you naturally reflect Him. The more you rest in His love, the more you overflow with His love toward others. The more you receive from Him, the more you have to give. It's not about doing less. It's about doing everything from a different place, a place of rest, a place of fullness, a place of security, a place of knowing you are His and He is yours, and nothing can separate you from that love. There's a verse in the second letter to the Corinthians where Paul writes about his struggles, his weaknesses, his limitations, his thorn in the flesh that he begged God to remove. And Jesus says to him, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness, not in strength, not in achievement, not in performance, not in your ability to do it all and have it all together. In weakness, in limitation, in the places where you can't, in the seasons where you're not as capable as you used to be." What if this season of your life, this season where you can't do what you used to do, where you're slower, where you're more limited, where your body doesn't cooperate the way it once did, where your energy runs out faster? What if this is exactly where God's power is most evident? What if this is where His grace shines brightest? What if this is where you finally learn what it means to depend on Him completely? What if this is where you discover that He really is enough? What if your weakness is the very thing that positions you to experience His strength in ways you never could when you were relying on your own? Because that's the invitation, to stop relying on your own strength and to discover His, to stop trying to prove yourself and to rest in His approval, to stop earning and to start receiving, to stop performing and to start abiding, to stop measuring your worth by your productivity and to start measuring it by His love. And in that receiving, in that resting, in that abiding, you'll find a peace that surpasses understanding, a joy that doesn't depend on circumstances, a love that never runs dry, a purpose that transcends what you can do and is rooted in who you are to Him. This is what God wants you to focus on most, not the next project, not the next achievement, not the next way you can prove your worth or validate your existence. He wants you to focus on Him, just Him, His presence, His voice, His love, His heart toward you, His delight in you, His pleasure in simply being with you. He wants you to know that you are seen, you are known, you are valued, you are loved, not because of what you've done, not because of how well you've performed, not because of how much you've accomplished, but because you are His child, His beloved, His treasure, and nothing, absolutely nothing, can change that. Not your age, not your limitations, not your past failures, not your present struggles, nothing. I want to share something with you that I think is deeply important to understand. There's a passage in the Gospel of Matthew where Jesus talks about the kingdom of heaven being like a landowner who went out early in the morning to hire workers for his vineyard. He agreed to pay them a certain wage and sent them into the field. Then he went out again at different hours throughout the day, hiring more workers each time. Some worked all day, some worked only a few hours, some worked just the final hour before sunset. And at the end of the day, when it was time to pay the workers, He gave everyone the same wage. The ones who worked 1 hour received the same as those who worked all day. And the workers, who had been there since sunrise, complained. They said it wasn't fair. They had worked longer, worked harder, endured the heat of the day. They deserved more. But the landowner said, "Friend, I am not being unfair to you. You agreed to work for this wage. I want to give the ones who were hired last the same as I gave you. Don't I have the right to do what I want with my own money? Or are you envious because I am generous?" Here's what Jesus is showing us. God's economy doesn't work like ours. His grace isn't measured by our effort. His love isn't distributed based on our productivity. His acceptance isn't earned by how long we've served or how much we've accomplished. Whether you've walked with Him for 70 years or 7 months, whether you've served in ministry your entire life, or you're just now understanding what it means to truly know Him, His grace is the same. His love is complete. His acceptance is full. You don't get bonus points for working longer. You don't earn extra love for doing more. You're not more valuable because you've been faithful for decades. And you're not less valuable now that you can't serve the way you used to. The gift is the same. The relationship is the same. The love is the same. And that's not unfair. That's grace. So let me leave you with this. If you're in a season where you feel tired, where you feel like you've missed something, where you feel like there's got to be more than what you've experienced so far, where you feel like all those years of service should have produced more satisfaction than you're feeling right now, you're right. There is more. But the more isn't found in doing. It's found in being. It's found in relationship. It's found in sitting at the feet of Jesus and letting Him love you. It's found in laying down the burden of performance and picking up the gift of His presence. And when you do that, when you finally let yourself rest there, when you finally give yourself permission to stop striving and start receiving, everything changes. Your purpose becomes clear. Not a purpose based on productivity, but a purpose based on intimacy. Your peace becomes deep. Not a peace dependent on circumstances, but a peace rooted in His character. Your joy becomes real, not a happiness tied to outcomes, but a joy that flows from knowing you're loved regardless of what you produce. Because you're no longer striving for something you already have. You're no longer running towards something that's already been given. You're no longer trying to earn something that was purchased for you on the cross. You're simply receiving. You're simply resting. You're simply abiding. You're simply being loved. And discovering that being loved by Him is enough, more than enough, everything you've been searching for, all along. And that, more than anything else, is what your heart has been longing for all these years. Not more work, not more responsibility, not more proving, not more achievement, just Him, just His presence, just His love, just the assurance that in Him, you are enough. You have always been enough, and you always will be, not because of anything you've done, but because of everything He is. This is the invitation He's extending to you today, to come close, to sit at His feet, to let Him love you, to discover that the one thing needed is simply Him. And in that discovery, to find the rest, the peace, the joy, and the purpose that your soul has been aching for all along. If this message touched your heart today, I'd be so grateful if you'd like this video, leave a comment sharing what God is speaking to you, and subscribe to help us spread the love of Jesus and grow this community together.